Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kaustubha Das. Welcome to the show. It's Monday, and this is episode 1397. And happy Balaram Purnim, or Balaram Jayanti, the appearance day of Balaram.
The brother of Sri Krishna. But he's Krishna too.
It's hard to understand. But he's also Krishna. And we're here with Mara, spinning the dials here. And welcome everybody who's new to the show. This is a daily study of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Miss Mara, do you have some important announcements before we jump into this?
I do. We have a Bhakti Recovery Group meeting at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And today is Wear Your Merch Monday. Help us promote the show by wearing your Wisdom of the Sages merch. Take a pic and share it on social media. Tag us on Facebook and Instagram, and we'll share the post.
It's a fun idea.
It's a fun idea. We tried to come up with fun ideas. That's what we do when we have Wisdom of the Sages meeting. Let's think of a fun idea. And then none of us follow the rules except Linda. Oh, Linda. We're sorry. Okay.
What's going on?
What's going on? We're going to India.
Some jiu-jitsu thing went on over the weekend? Something crazy
some jiu-jitsu stuff going on over the weekend. Me and Mara went on a lot of bike rides. What else did we? Oh, Mara's family came over. That was really fun. Pookie and Papa Tony. Papa Tony he's a top grade man.
Yeah.
And what else happened?
Wife Pookie, right?
Yeah. It's a blur. The weekend's a blur. We had a good time. We just chilled and played it simple.
You cooked something delicious, I heard.
Yeah, I got busted out some of my secret recipes. It was Henry's favorite. I decided to make for the entire Mara Simons Jones clan family.
It's delicious.
Yeah.
It's that's a challenge to cook for Mara's family because they're used to Mara's cooking, and she's like #1 caterer.
Oh, are you kidding? It's like Papa Tony is like a great chef himself.
I bet he is. Yeah, I mean, with the name Papa Tony, it sounds like you're coming out of the kitchen, right?
Yeah, he is. Yeah. And then Bobby made some food. Bobby Marchand came over. It was great.
Oh, that's good.
All right. Let's dive into this, sir.
We got a nugget today. Because you know how this nugget came up? It came up on the show on Friday because we were talking about, I think actually today, hopefully today, Nityananda Chandra would know for sure, but if my three video class on 15 chapter Bhagavad Gita that was recorded up there, Super Soul Farm back in May.
Let's see if is that going to drop today?
Drop.
Oh boy.
Drop.
We dropping
okay,
that one?
That will okay. He's confirmed it will drop today. He's posting it right now, as a matter of fact.
All right, great.
So, but then you object a little to the term drop, but I said no. This goes way back. It's not like a bad thing to drop something necessarily. Sometimes dropping is a good thing.
Yeah. So we started talking about dropping mercy. Then we got a quote.
Droppeth.
Shakespeare from the Merchant of Venice.
Yeah, this is it's one of the most famous Shakespearean, what do you call it?
Quotations.
Oh yeah, well, quotations. There's got to be a better word for that, right? Some literary term.
Prose.
Yeah.
I stole a lot of Shakespeare for some shelter songs, by the way.
Yes, we always knew that was coming from high literary origin. But this is from the Merchant of Venice. I think what happened was the Merchant of Venice took out a loan, and then the Shylock, the loan shark, was he couldn't pay back, and I think he was going to kill the merchant. And then this was someone, I forget the person's name, but they're kind of like appealing to the Shylock to be merciful. And in doing so, they speak of the nature of mercy, which is a really important Actually, it's like an all-important topic when it comes to discussing bhakti, is it not, Raghunath?
Sure. It means we're not really qualified, but we're going to get it anyway. Why do people care for us? Why do people love us? Why do people? The reason why we're here today is not oftentimes, most often, not because we deserved anything,
So
but
a little
because
mercy
someone
involved.
was very kind to us. Someone extended their hand. Someone realized that bhakti is the highest thing you can give someone. People's connection to source is the highest thing. And that's how you get bhakti. It's been given by the mercy of others.
Yeah.
That's how we get it.
Okay.
Um,
So you'll read this in a Shakespearean voice?
Shakespearean English. The quality of mercy is not strained, my dear Kostuba.
Mm.
It droppeth as the gentle rain from heaven upon the place beneath. It is twice blessed.
How so?
It it blesseth
Do
him
tell.
that gives and him that takes.
Okay, two
Right?
ways. The
So when you
giver and
give
the receiver.
mercy, it's blessed, and when you receive it, it's blessed.
Okay.
All right, just like we're hearing and chanting. So there's a speaker of the Bhagavatam and a listener of the Bhagavatam, and both are blessed.
Right.
They're both getting purified.
Mm-hmm.
'Tis the mightiest in the mightiest. It
Very
becomes the
interesting.
throned monarch better than his crown.
I think that means when it says it becomes, like it becomes him. It's right. Not that it becomes in the sense that it transforms, but it becomes. You know how that word is used like that? It becomes him. Like it's
Yeah.
it looks better on him or something like that, right?
It becomes him better than his crown, right? Mercy
Yeah.
is better than a crown. The crown, all the wealth of the king's outfit, it's like some guy's walking into town with a suit, but he's got a Rolex. It's the Rolex that's the big thing. For a
Yeah.
king, he's got a lot of beautiful clothes, but his crown has all the jewels.
But what shows that he's a king still in a better way is his
Yeah.
quality of mercy.
More wealth than that crown is
Yeah.
his mercy.
More kingly.
His scepter shows the force of temporal power.
Temporal power.
Just a little bit of power, just temporary. The attribute to awe and majesty, wherein doth sit the dread and fear of kings.
Okay.
Okay, so that's what kings have. They have their power that comes behind them.
The
But
scepter.
mercy is above this sceptered sway. It is enthroned in the hearts of kings. It is an attribute to God himself. An earthly power doth then show likest gods when mercy seasons justice.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
No wonder this guy's so famous. He's such a great writer.
Wow, great writer.
He's really good.
Makes
This
me like-
Shakespeare.
Imagine what it must have been like living in a world of kings.
I was imagining what this character William Shakespeare was like, but okay, the world of kings, yeah.
I mean, it was just a few moments ago where everybody had a king.
And you're kind of at the mercy of this king. in
And the
many ways.
king had some dharma. He had there was a way to be a good king, and there was a way to be like a horrible king. There were horrible kings. There were also very gracious kings.
If the king lacked mercy, whew,
Give me
he's
a good king. Give me a good, noble, righteous king. I'll do whatever he says.
Yeah.
We got a bunch of uneducated people voting for uneducated people, voting for criminal people.
It's a mess.
It's a mess. Demon crazy.
All right. So the last line here, I mean, the whole thing is just like chock full of interesting and helpful ideas. When mercy seasons justice, right? These two are commonly seen as opposite ends of the spectrum. On one end, you got justice. On the other end, you have mercy, right? Justice means, okay, you're going to get punished. You're going to get your just rewards. You committed some foul. You offended in some way. Well, here's the justice come in, and I'm breaking out the scepter for that. And then on the other end, there's mercy. Like, okay, you committed some type of offense. You did something wrong. You caused some kind of harm, some kind of injury. Something was done that was not up to the standard. But perhaps we can overlook it. Perhaps the punishment doesn't have to come down. And that tension plays out, constantly in our lives, right? It's not just the king that's dealing with the tension between mercy and justice, but every one of us in our personal dealings are, having to negotiate that or
Mm,
trying to find the balance, right?
yeah, it's the parent with the kids. It's the people that yeah we're in the workplace that we're dealing with.
Friendships.
Some that are actually very cool and friendly, and some that are like causing us pain.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it is a big one for devotees to opt into, for them to reap the actual rewards
You
of advancing in bhakti.
For devotees, it's so important, right? Because in any kind of relationship, that balance will, finding the balance. I like the way he says it. And earthly power doth then show us like gods when mercy seasons justice,
Huh?
when it seasons it, right? When it's blended into it. Justice is going to have to be there. We can't just throw out all of the structure that we have
Mm,
in this world to keep a certain stability. But it should be seasoned. It should have mercy blended in. And that quality of mercy for the devotee, you know, there's a when we talk about achieving the goal of bhakti, which is divine love, right? It means that the heart is entirely melted, that so that it can become so sensitive that it feels these these rasas, these flavors, of love. And so really all of our practice, all of our mantras and all of our rituals and all of our the etiquettes that we follow and all of the disciplines that we apply in our lives, in relation to bhakti, we could just say it's all just to soften that heart, to get it softer, softer, softer. And there's a statement, in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Rupa Goswami, the great sage, such an important figure in our lineage, where he says that when you get to the stage where the like he's comparing bhakti to be like a plant, that it's got its seed and it needs to be watered, it needs to be and then it grows, and when it pops out of the ground we call it a sprout, right? It just sprouts out. It's brand new, but it's there. It is. I'm seeing it for the first time. It's alive.
right.
It's growing. He calls that stage is called bhava. Bhava is the stage just before prema, which is the very goal of divine love. And that bhava, it pops out of the ground. It says when it pops out of the ground, he says it's like a sun ray of love for Krishna. And at that time, the bhakti that one's experiencing, it causes the heart to be softened by various tastes. Then you could be said that you're on that stage of bhava, and now you're just looking. Oh, it's growing. It's alive. All of this hasn't been a waste of time. It's actually,
Mm,
there it is. Prema is on the way. So that the quality of a soft heart is really all that we're working towards. And if we're not going to be capable of applying mercy in our lives and seasoning whatever justice we might need to mete out
mm,
with mercy, then boy, how are we going to get to that place in this short lifetime that we get that kind of heart?
mm. Yeah. What's the opposite of that grace and that mercy is when I start putting people in categories of people that didn't do me right.
Yeah.
And I feel like first of all there's this idea of all the people that have wronged me. And I keep a list of all the people that have wronged me, and then I
Then I'll get my
hold
justice.
they're not going to get there, they're going to get justice instead of mercy. And I'm going to distribute. We were talking about this the other day. I'm going to distribute that justice. I'm going to get, if I get another chance at that, I'm going to get them for it.
Hmm.
So there's a whole, when we say the softening of the heart, it's a relinquishing of heavy weight we've been carrying around for a very
Burden.
long time, a burden of resentment, a burden of spite, a burden of revenge, and it really sits within the mind of people. In a 12-step program, they have the whole thing where you have to go along and you have to sort of empty that sack out and take a deep moral inventory.
Inventory.
It's very powerful.
Mm.
Moral inventory. And then release all these resentments you have. You write down the people you're actually holding on to a resentment for. Own your part of the pie. Oftentimes, this is it's an interesting thing. We tend to think, well, in that failed relationship, I have, 4%, but basically the other person's got 96% of the. And very often, the more we're actually very honest with ourselves, we realize we have more and more of a percentage of that pie.
Maybe
Um,
five,
I've got,
five and a half.
I've got like 92%. I've got like 8% perhaps at the most. And the problem is, one problem with not owning responsibility for our shortcomings is if we don't own up to it, when we want to go further in other relationships, then instead of like starting with a clean slate, we're bringing our bad communication skills, we're bringing our bad, personal habits, we're and we're sort of like sneaking them right into a new relationship
Mhm.
because we've never done any autocorrect because we feel like, well, we've done nothing wrong. I've done 4% of the problem. But oftentimes there's no self-reflection and then there's no fixing anything. And that's why a big
This
part of self-realization is realizing what is a little broken in me. We call ourselves dented cans sometimes, or we're a little broken. It's okay to be a little broken. We're in the material world broken. And I have to notice what's really broken about me because it's going to really sabotage friendships, partnerships, relationships in the workplace, relationships with my kids. And if I don't, if it's everybody else's fault, there's no growth. There's just me, winding out my, like little tweaked karma. It's going to play out, and we find ourselves rolling into the same ruts again and again, instead of learning from past mistakes, patterns. Yes, Chandrabhaga, exactly.
patterns, yeah.
Figure eights.
You know, I've never read the Merchant of Venice, but if I understand this passage correctly, you have someone appealing to this loan shark. Loan sharks are generally pretty rough characters,
Yeah.
and uh, and they also are depending on their violence generally, in order to do their work. And with that comes some ego, like I'm powerful, like I'm like the king. And so it seems like this person is cleverly trying to appeal to them by saying that a real king, even God, like the most powerful figure, what makes them so special is actually is their quality of mercy. So like if you really want to be like a king or be like God, and I know you're like that, then we're expecting you to demonstrate that mercy now, which is kingly and godlike. But that quality of God is so much highlighted in Bhagavatam. Maybe the most famous example of it is what we read back in the sixth canto, where a Jamil he lived such a degraded life, he caused harm to so many, and so on. But at the very end of his life, he chanted he chanted the name of Lord Vishnu, Narayana,
Hmm.
and the messengers that were meant to deal justice, the Yamadutas are coming. They're about to drag him out of his body. And just because he chanted that name, even without intentionally calling out to Vishnu, he's calling his son, who was named Narayan.
Hmm.
The messengers of Lord Vishnu come to show mercy, and the messengers of Yamaraj, the Yamadutas, they're like, we don't get this. Justice demands that this person be dealt with in a certain way. And the Vishnudutas are more or less demonstrating we don't understand just how merciful the heart of God is. Just how much it's willing to bend over backwards, to accommodate us, to show mercy. And sometimes, I don't know, I have this thing, every now and then I go through this, Raghunath. You enter into a society of bhakti yogis, and some of them you like more than others, right? It's natural.
Bhakti yogis, people.
Yeah,
There's certain
yeah,
people that you're attracted to, and certain people drive you a little crazy. Yep.
yeah. And then sometimes they've passed away,
Okay.
and
The
then
people. Wait, the people that you don't jive with pass away.
yeah, Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you something reminds you of them, and you wonder, I wonder if they achieved the goal of bhakti in this life. I wonder if they transcended this world, broke out of the matrix, were freed.
Right.
And there's something you say, nah, they don't deserve it, right? Like you know
Right.
what
They
I mean?
weren't.
So that'll rise in me a little bit. That attitude, like
Yeah.
I don't want them to, they
They couldn't have
need to
done
go
it. They
through.
didn't stroke my ego. They
It's
couldn't
it,
have trans
it's not even that they couldn't have done. It's almost like there's a little something in me that wants them to have
learn a lesson that they
to
never had.
yeah to learn their lesson or something like that. And then the thought comes to me like, what am I thinking? It's like
Yeah.
I should be hoping, from the
So-
core of my heart that they received all the mercy of God. And what to speak of the fact that, because if they did, then it makes it so much more likely that I might as well,
Yeah,
even from that selfish perspective,
we're so
right?
short-sighted and as my mom would
Yeah,
say, so sick in the head, so
yeah,
wrapped up in ourself and our
yeah.
rightness.
Like
Uh,
Chapu was sharing my aphorism. We don't think like that, right? Like, well, how can I think like, oh, I hope that person didn't get the full mercy of, our heart has to soften if we're going to make it in this bhakti world. It's not a external practice. It's not merely an external practice. It's all about that soft. That's why I always love that song. I think there's certain songs I think where the songwriter just kind of nailed it. They're generally kind of simple songs, and they just kind of really convey the messages just so well. And I always think of that song "Heart of Gold" by Neil Young. Where it's just like, you know,
uh, yeah.
it's we search and we search. In one sense, that is what we're doing through bhakti. Is we're moving through this world trying to achieve that heart of gold, that pure heart, that soft heart. And that soft heart is like it's softened by the seasoning of mercy, right? You gotta
I like that.
sprinkle that on there.
Seasoning of mercy.
Yeah.
Sprinkled with mercy. All right. On that note, let's dive into the Srimad Bhagavatam.
All right.
It was good.
And see what droppeth.
See what droppeth here. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narotamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan, unto Narayan, Rishi, the supermost human being, to Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning. Nasta prayeshva badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama bhaktir bhavati naishtiki.
Let us not forget Vyasadeva, the author, too, right? Did we skip
Vyasadeva, the author. Did I
Okay.
miss that?
Make sure you
A
get
regular
him.
attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam, and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the author, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Tamurandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chaksurunmadatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 15, Text 9.
Yes.
Well, usually you
Oh,
say
okay.
something right
Okay.
there. Usually I
Well,
go, all right,
can
take this back a notch.
you can cue me up if you want. Sometimes you can.
Okay.
So we heard a fascinating verse last. We're in. You just said where we're at, right?
9.
Did you? No. Chapter 15 of the seventh canto. This is our last chapter here in this canto. We read this very important verse, text 8, that said that the highest, that there's no dharma superior to that in which one lets go, gives up of any animosity that they might have, whether it's expressed or existing within their body, within their words, or within their mind. I don't have any animosity, right? I let it all go. There's no dharma higher than that, it's saying. Okay? You with me, brother?
Yeah, I gave
You're
Mara
fidgeting around.
a
What's going on?
research. No, I gave Mara a research mission.
Does it have anything to do with the show?
Yes.
Okay, well then you could have said it. You could have.
I wanted
It's all right.
I just see what's on sale downtown for
I
lunch.
thought it might be like that. Okay, so then now we come to text 9. Oh, yes. Um, now we're hitting the topic of this spiritual awakening, and all we've been hearing all about the different kind of regulations, duties that the householders have. But when now it's going to show that, and this is something that I never got in my other religious, you could say, studies or experience. Here's the regulations. You got to do this or you go to hell. Here it's saying, no, no, no. All of these regulations that one does, whether you want to call them dharma or what, they're meant to take you somewhere. They're meant to achieve something. They're meant to transform you in a particular way. And if you've transformed in that way, you actually don't need to follow them anymore. You've achieved the goal of them. It helps us kind of understand the nature of the regulations that are there in spiritual practice.
Sure.
All right, text 9.
Because of an awakening of spiritual knowledge, those who are intelligent in regard to sacrifice, who are actually aware of dharma or of religious principles, and who are free from material desires, control the self in the fire of spiritual knowledge or knowledge of the absolute truth. They may give up the process of ritualistic ceremonies.
They may give up the processes of
They.
ritualistic ceremonies. So, so there you go. This idea. This idea. There's a couple things I really like in this verse, Raghunath. One thing that I really like, I just like this as a topic. The topic of spiritual awakening, the moment of spiritual awakening, I think is a very fascinating topic. We see it across our literature. I mean, can you name some? One or two moments of
spiritual awakening.
Yeah.
Mars Prickett gets cursed to die, and he accepts his death, and he searches out a guru.
Yeah.
Gajendra the elephant is in a tragic situation, and he
kind of had a reawakening, right? He
Yeah.
had kind of lost touch with it, and then in that moment of
probably
tragedy,
all of our awakenings are reawakenings, because to get to
Sure.
the place where we're actually turning everything over to you and I live very, very long lives, meaning not even in this life, we live for lifetimes, and probably to get to this point where where we realize that the material world is not my home, that I'm meant for God. There's nothing of this world that will satisfy my heart. Not romance, not stuff, not travel, not adventure, not family, only God. It seems like that takes many, many births. And so we probably had lifetimes of little spiritual bubbles.
Okay.
The little spiritual bubbles, little mini spiritual awakenings, and then there's the Maha spiritual awakening, which is probably our last life. That's why I can't get bent. Sometimes I get a little. There's a little squirrel here, but sometimes I get a little sad when I hear people get into bhakti, and then they get out of bhakti. It's like it's not for everybody. They're not the fruit is not. It takes a lot to be ripe to this type of
Take some
information.
patience.
Yeah, not just patience, but it takes a long time to be ripe mentally. That when you hear spiritual truth, where you're like, yes, yes, you have to be in a right place in your mind, in your consciousness, in your heart, to really digest this stuff.
It's true.
Or else it's just sort of. I mean, I'm sure you've had times in your life when you've heard it, and you're like, nah.
I don't know if I've had that, but
Oh,
okay.
really? I have. I'll be very frank. I've heard a lot of this spiritual information. I'm just like, no. Material world's a great place. What are you guys talking about? Why are you so negative? Material world's cool.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting things to do. You guys are being very negative. And I think that it takes a lot to get to that point where actually we have no desires of this world.
And then from there, it takes a lot to really hit that point of spiritual awakening.
Sure.
Where I said it's a topic that I'm interested in. Some of my favorite paintings are like of the moment of spiritual awakening. I'm going to share one with you.
Rapture.
I'm going to share one with
you.
you. There's a painting I had. There's a painting. It's a painting of Sri Chaitanya.
Hmm.
that it's rarely seen. You know, I haven't seen it around too much, but I want to see if I can share it on the message board. Oh, there we go. Share that right there. But to me, this is this is when he comes back from Gaia. He's back in Navadvip, and the feelings of Radha are awakening in his heart.
This is the
You
one where
know,
he's sitting very still,
I just put it on
getting
the thing.
wrecked.
Did you see it?
Oh no, I've never seen this one.
It's on the chat board. Have you seen that before?
Nope.
Never saw that painting? Yeah, it's like it's a rare one, but in my mind, it's a very beautiful painting. You know, it's kind of like if you look, he's sitting in the forefront of the painting. I think, those golden flowers behind him kind of represent Radha. You know, her mood is kind of, or is around him.
Okay.
He's got his hand to his heart. And if you look back, it's going deep into the forest, like there's a path deep into the forest. It's like he's awakening, to enter another world. There's that painting of that I really love of Joan of Arc that's in the Metropolitan Museum where she's having her spiritual awakening. But it's kind of something like all of this spiritual work. It's not that we don't benefit from it, we don't enjoy it. It's not it's pleasurable, it's nourishing, it's edifying from beginning to end, the spiritual path. But there's also something very special about that moment of spiritual awakening, where everything lights up. The Gita speaks of it that way. Text 5:16, where Krishna says, "When, however, one is enlightened with the knowledge by which nescience is destroyed, then their knowledge reveals everything as the sun lights up everything in the daytime." Right? Where like there's no longer those nagging kind of illusory attachments, misconceptions that we hang on to, what to speak of resentments and things like that. That it's all just gone, and then we realize that all of these rules and regulations, they were meant to get you somewhere, they were
They weren't
those
meant to
types of
cheat us
regulations.
out of something, and it wasn't a punishment. A lot of times, at least in the Abrahamic traditions, it's almost seemed as a punishment. You will get a punishment for bad behavior. Your sinful
Yeah.
activities will give you a punishment. No, no,
Now
no.
you must do this penance.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
all it's like an instruction booklet that came with the device you just purchased. How not to wreck your device and what to do to enhance your device. You got to charge it like this, and then you've got to clean it like this, and you got to change the batteries like this. So if I take my cell phone and I don't even know what my smartphone is, and I just start smashing it, or I, go swimming with it, no, you're going to ruin it. That's why. So it's not like God's punishing you and ruining your cell phone. You ruined it. You ruined it. You take responsibility. You've made some dumb choice and you've wrecked your phone now. God's not punishing you for that. God, the Vedas come to give us instructions, good advice, so that we can just live in this world. And then metaphysical advice so we can transcend this world. Don't blame God. God's not punishing. God is love. That's a different concept that God is this. It's one thing if your dad gives you a punishment, like go to your room, come down for dinner. It's another thing if God punishes you, go to your room forever. That is like a sick, sadistic God that we've created. That God is not love. God is spite. Who wants to fall in love with that God? It's like living under like a dictatorship.
Whew.
There's rules in this world. There's rules in this world, and the Vedas come to teach us how to best utilize the machine we are born into, and that includes our subtle machine, our mind, our intelligence, our ego, and then how to transcend the body.
Right. When once it's transcended, then, and I want to be clear, I'm not talking about the practices of bhakti like hearing and chanting and so on. Those, they're a means and an end. But there's certain regulations that are a means, right? Not so much the end. So therefore, like in the Gita, in the 3rd chapter, Krishna says that for one who takes pleasure in the self, right? It's all internal. Their happiness is found within. For one who takes pleasure in the self, and whose life is one of self-realization, and who is satisfied in the self only, right? I don't need anything external. I'm satisfied just experiencing my own inner blissful spiritual nature. fully satiated. For them, there's no duty.
Hmm.
Right? That's Bhagavad Gita. For them, there's no duty. A person who's really got that. You know, I read this letter. I came across this letter the other day, Raghunath. There's a letter Prabhupada wrote to a devotee named Bhagavat Nanda
Huh.
in 1972. And it sounds like he's responding to this devotee kind of like complaining about the circumstances that were going on.
Yeah.
Let me read this to you. I think you might find it inspiring, okay?
Okay.
So he says, please accept my blessings. I've received your letter from Pittsburgh, dated July 3rd, 1972. One thing is our process of Krishna consciousness, this process of bhakti. If it is followed with determination and enthusiasm, automatically it has the effect of fixing us, body, mind, and soul, at the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, so that all sorts of fluctuations of the material nature, all sorts of difficulties and discrepancies of life are easily withstood.
Mhm.
This is nice, right?
Yeah.
And there's so much truth in this. I know you've experienced this yourself, Raghunath.
Yeah.
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 But first, you have to agree to understand the process and follow it scrupulously. That is wanting. If I only think I know something, that is the mental platform of accept and reject. And any knowledge gathered from the mental platform is like that, tottering and precarious, and it can be immediately rejected at any time. Like these spiritual ideas, I might kind of accept them in my mind, but they haven't become part of me. They haven't been realized. And so they can be, just as the mind is always going this way and that way. Just like you were saying a moment ago, right? You might have feelings of like, no, this world is a place to be enjoyed. You know, it can swing back and forth. He says, then he goes on, Krishna consciousness has great potency to deliver us to the highest platform of perfection, but only if it is understood by the intelligence. Okay, now he's drawing a distinction between the manas, the like and dislike app of the mind, and then the intelligence, right? The reasoning mind app of the mind. So he says Krishna consciousness has great potency to deliver us to the highest platform of perfection, but only if it is understood by the intelligence. Something understood by the intelligence is fixed forever and cannot waver, and that is almost spiritual. He says, from your letter, I can understand that you are confused in your mind because you do not want this, you do not want that. You might like another, like that. That position of confusion is not very much desirable. So you are a Vaisnava. Now rid yourself of such misunderstanding of things. He's so encouraging to step up to that next. You're caught up in petty things, my friend. You know, you're not getting really spiritual until you get past that. Vaishnava means, and now this is great. This is what I really want to highlight here. Vaishnava means one who is able to sit down anywhere, under any conditions, and be happy. He wants only a place to lay down, a little prasadam, and if there's a little service he can do, gladly, let me do it for Krishna. That's all. As long as we're thinking, I want this is not to my liking, or if I adjust things a certain way, everything will be better, these thoughts are material. Devotional service is not conditional, so stop this dreaming state. Try to understand things with the light of your intelligence. And if you are sincere in this way, without a doubt, Krishna will give you full facility to understand him and become freed of the bondage of ignorance.
So good.
Whoa.
So good.
That's just nectar there, isn't it? It's just like truth. Just truth that we need to hear, that we need to reflect on every day.
Living in our mind, creating problems.
Oh, yeah. So when you got beyond that, like the Gita was saying, for one who takes pleasure in the self, right? I can sit down anywhere. I don't need, I don't need to change all the circumstances. For one who takes pleasure in the self and whose human life is one of self-realization and who is satisfied in the self only, fully satiated, for them there's no duty. They can let go of all of this. So that gets back to our verse for today. Right? They can give up the process of ritualistic ceremonies. Okay.
All right, next verse.
Text 10.
Upon seeing the person engaged in performing the sacrifice, animals meant to be sacrificed are extremely afraid, thinking, this merciless performer of sacrifices, being ignorant of the purpose of the sacrifice and being most satisfied by killing others, will surely kill us.
Thinking a lot, these animals.
Yeah. Therefore, day by day, one who is actually aware of religious principles and is not heinously envious of poor animals should happily perform daily sacrifices and those for certain occasions with whatever food is available easily by the grace of the Lord. There are 5 branches of adharma, or irreligion, appropriately known as the dharma. Right? It means like against dharma. Right?
Irreligion.
Right? Religious principles for which one is unfit.
Paradharma.
Paradharma. That's not to be confused with the
Para.
highest dharma.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretentious religion. Know that. Abasa. Abasa.
Avasa means like it's like a shadow of true dharma.
Yeah, pretentious. Analogical religion. Or
Upadharma.
upadharma. What does analogical mean, Mara?
Analogical. It's not logical. Analogical.
It's against logic.
Or it's just logical. Upadharma. Upa, that if I understand it correctly, upa, it can mean something that's close, like in the Upanishads, to sit close, or it can also mean like it's not really something, like it's close to something, but it's not really it.
Huh.
You know, like they say, like a lake is called a pakur, and a pond is called a upakur. Like it's not really a lake, but it's something like a lake. It's less than a lake, you know, close to a lake, near a lake.
Mara, what's analogical?
I'm having trouble finding it, but it looks like it's based on an analogy. It's the same root word.
Analogical.
Of
Analogical.
relating to or based on analogy, expressing or implying analogy.
Okay. That shoot is quick. Mara, you gotta speed that up. Shoot was on that like 5 minutes ago.
Please continue, Raga.
Sorry, Mara. I heard her feelings.
It's Monday. Everybody gets a break today.
Okay. And of course, there is cheating religion, or chala dharma. One who is aware of real religious life must abandon these 5 irreligious, these 5 as irreligious. Religious principles that obstruct one from following. Religious principles that obstruct
So
one
now it's
from
going to explain
following
each one, I guess.
his own religion are called the Vidharma. Religious principles introduced by others are called Paradharma. A new type of religion created by one who is falsely proud and who opposes the principles of the Vedas is called Upadharma. And interpretation by one's jugglery of words is called Chaladharma.
Purport
Jugglery of
speaks about
words.
these. Word jugglery.
A pretentious dharma, or pretentious religious system manufactured by one who willfully neglects the prescribed duties of his order of life is called abasa. Abasa.
Abasa.
A dim reflection of or false similarity. But if one performs the prescribed duties for his particular ashram or varna, why are they not sufficient to mitigate all material distress? Even if a man is poor, he should not endeavor to improve his economic condition just to maintain his body and soul together. Let me try this again. Even if a man is poor, he should
Let's
not.
hold one moment. Let's hold one moment. Because I think, what was that all about? All of these kind of phony dharmas, you know, misapplied ideas of what dharma is. We can analyze these, and Prabhupada does a bit in the commentaries, and the other commentators go deeper into them. I think just one aspect of what's important about it is that when people come to Eastern thought from the Western world or from the Abrahamic religions, I think most commonly part of it has to do, at least part of it, it may largely have to do with a reaction to the sectarian nature of Western religions. We're right and everybody's wrong. So we kind of find it appealing that here's a tradition that's saying, hey, there's truth in all traditions. Don't be so sectarian. Be broader. See truth everywhere, etc. And that's a good thing. But even that has to be tempered, right? And I see kind of like an inconsistency in this, where like a person from the Western world will have, when they come over to Hinduism or Sanatana Dharma or whatever you want to call it, they're kind of like, there should be no discernment. Everything is good over here. Whatever someone's teaching, or
Don't bring your duality over here, Kostuba.
yeah. Whereas they would never tolerate the same thing from, let's say, a Christian church, right? Like the kind of hypocrisies that they would eagerly point out in a Christian church, they won't point out those same hypocrisies when they appear in the Eastern traditions. But they're there. They're definitely there. There's always going to be people that are going to take any good thing and misuse it, misapply it, twist it, for their own purposes, due to their own weaknesses or their own warped desires. And so it's saying that, hey, within this world, Narada's saying, I'm laying out all this information about Dharma and how it can be followed, but there's going to be people that twist it or misapply it or contaminate it, pollute it, in different ways. You should be aware of that. You should discern that. Don't just say, oh, it's all good, it's all one, it doesn't matter. No. Don't give up your discernment. All right. And I think we can jump into text 15 tomorrow, huh?
Yeah. Miss Mara, what do you got for
Mara
us,
G.
please?
I got a lot of good stuff today.
Mara, I can't take away.
I don't want to die.
Bhakti is given by the mercy of others.
Bhakti is given, but it's by mercy. It droppeth.
It droppeth. Mercy is double blessed by the giver and the receiver.
I like that.
Doubly blessed. We were doubly blessed.
All
I'm breaking out the songs today.
Double dating, double from it.
You don't know the one that I just sang?
Favorite double in the world is.
You don't know the one that I just sang, though, did you, Ragnar?
No.
We were doubly blessed.
I don't know it.
Okay, I'm not going to tell you then. I'll tell you later.
I don't want to know.
Okay, good. That's good. It's good that you don't want to know.
All our practices are meant to soften the heart and season it with mercy.
Season it.
For every season turns.
Okay, I got it started. I can't complain today.
Own your part of the pie.
Own your part of the
Pie.
Bye
Pie.
bye, Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee. Go.
It takes lifetimes to ripen to spiritual awakening.
It can take a long time.
Spiritual awakening.
You see now, Ragnar, that was nothing right there. There's no.
You know what? I can create songs.
That's
I'm a
not creating
songwriter.
Song.
That should be a song.
I don't know.
A Vaishnav can be happy anywhere. And
Ruined it, Ragnar. You ruined it.
God isn't punishing us. We're destroying our own device.
God isn't punishing us for destroying our device. Now, there's an announcement that needs to be made, Ragnar.
Make.
Sage Group Session 8 runs from the week of September 2nd through the week of December 15th, and it's time to sign up.
Time to sign up for your Sage groups.
Registration is
right on the
open
website?
until August 26th, but the sooner you get in, the better, because it's filling up fast.
So you go to the Sage Groups tab on our website, wisdomofthesages.com, and do that. Chant Camp's up, it's open, and it's filling up. So if you're interested in having a nice way to wind down the summer, come to Super Soul Farm, hang with us. That is on my website, raghunath.yoga. And, of course, the Wisdom of Sages retreat on Columbus Day weekend. Join us for those. That's on my website as well.
Oh, Sean Karishi saying it won't let him in to join. It keeps loading. Send us the info on that. We got to get that to Sri Rupa. She knows how to fix that kind of thing. If you haven't
Shara
tried.
Grahi signed up.
Good.
America
Another
Soul
announcement is that, well, you should say it again. today, part one of my three video course on Bhagavad Gita chapter 15 droppeth on the Sage community platform. Right?
If you're a member of our Sage groups, you get that.
Yeah,
If you're not a member and you like what we're
supporting
doing, you want to
member.
support us, go to wisdomsages.com, become a supporting member. It really makes a difference. Thanks to our community that supports us. It keeps this little thing going. But we like doing it anyway. We like doing it. But
Yeah, we're doing it anyway.
we're doing it anyway. But thank you, everybody.